Hi, I'm Jazz. I am an alcoholic and I am codependent. I work a 12-step program and I seek health. I seek health and I also like to consider myself a traveler. And I just keep going. Like, I'm very curious. I'm turning every stone over. And there's just so much information out there and I just want it all. Now, in the beginning for me, I wanted to share a bit more about just the ugly part of the alcoholism. And it was about 2020 when I left my relationship, my marriage ended, and I had 2 little kids at the time. And when my marriage ended, I thought that my drinking was gonna stop too. So I was very surprised that it had picked up. So this part is the part I'm going to talk about before I got to treatment. So I'm all excited that this relationship's over. I feel free. I feel freer. I think I'm free, but I'm not really that free. And I'm drinking, I'm partying. And then I noticed my drinking, it was already pretty bad before that. Like, it was really bad before that. But it got worse than bad. So I was a little bit scared because I was like, oh, like I'm really not able to stop this. Like, this has really got a hold of me. And I guess I was feeling a bit defeated that, like, I had accomplished and done so many things in my life where I did take control of things and get things done. And I thought that was a superpower. I didn't realize that was such a character defect, a bad habit. But so I'm deep in the thick of this alcoholism. And I'm drinking under the table. I'm a closet drinker. I'm drinking out at parties where people see me, but I'm drinking even more later on and after. And I'm waking up with alcohol and oh, so bad and scary. And I knew that I was under attack. My soul was under attack. Everything, like my mental, emotional, and physical state, I pretty much was losing it all and getting really close to losing my life. So the drinking got worse and worse and worse. I started getting more accidents physically, and I started falling more. And I could barely speak, barely write, just weird stuff. Like I was, because I was never sober. Like, I didn't barely spend any time sober anymore. Drunk sleeping, drunk waking up, and just really sweaty, puffy, like not good. And so didn't think anybody could see that, I guess. So I was deep in my own denial. So I figured, that I should I had to make a decision if I wanted to live or not. And I remember I started having seizures and stuff. So I think I remember one incident where I'm like, I'm going to die if I don't stop. So, and that scenario kept happening. And I thought, one of these times, I'm not going to wake up. I'm not going to, I fell down the stairs a few times. I knew that something was coming, something was getting really close, closer, death was coming. It felt not that my sight could see, but I could feel something coming, and I thought, I'm going to have to do something before that comes. And I don't think I want that to happen. So I guess there was just a bit of I had this awareness that my time was getting short and that I needed to make a decision. I need to make up my mind on what I wanted to do, or it's going to get me, So anyways, I can almost feel like the gap's closing in, like everything's closing in on me. And I had this, one of the things that really kind of helped me was I was heavily drinking. My little kids are in bed. It's like past midnight. And, I'm also like really, I just remember being really depressed at the time too. I would drink and be happy. Then as that wore off, then I'm crying and I'm upset, going to bed crying and just feeling so ashamed of myself, and like my guts hurt, like everything was hurting, like, especially physically too. And I'm laying in bed, and now I'm at the point of like where I'm barely fully, I think, sleeping at night. And I just, I had my back to the door, and I was sleeping by myself in my room, and I had gone to sleep. But in my dream, I just remember seeing, I must have been in some other kind of state, but I remember there was like definitely some very evil presence near me. And that wasn't the first time that I felt that, because I was really trying to ignore that. But here I'm in this dream, and then this like big, like white, ghostly, cold, slimy finger just went down my back, like down my entire back when I was sleeping. And I woke up in like a hysteria, like it was real. And it was just the grossest, scariest feeling I'd ever felt. And I hate to say this, but it just felt very evil. Like it felt like the devil was close. Like it felt like I was getting close in, like they had picked me. And there was also this feeling that there was 3 of them there at my sleep. And, I just really believed that my soul was under attack, and it makes sense. Like in that time, like I'm so much farther away from that dark time that I don't experience even the slightest bit of that ever anymore. So anyways, that just freaked me right out. And I just thought like, well, it's like my soul, that was like a sign that like my soul is under attack, my mental state, my emotions, and so mental, emotional, physical, and so it was all in line with that something, I'm running out of time, and it's only going to be me that's going to be able to get me out of this. So I thought like what is everyone going to think? Who am I going to talk to? Like, I was so overwhelmed and scared because nobody knew really too much how bad my drinking, my alcoholism was. So I called my doctor. I said, I need to make an appointment. And this is how I think higher power is kind of working in my life too, is that, I had this one doctor she's just like the doctor, and I'm intimidated by her because she's so together and educated and like, very kind of strict and stuff. And I she's like someone I've always wanted to please. Like it's kind of weird, right? Because I want to go to the doctor and have good health, but I'm always going to the doctor because there's something that I need help with about my health. So anyways, but at that time, my doctors were changing. So I had this newer doctor was coming in and starting to take over the practice, but she was really chill, and me and her kind of just got along in a friendly kind of way. And so I made my doctor appointment expecting it to be like the big, great, the doctor that I was intimidated by, and it ended up being this other girl. And, that just was I just remember being so happy and relieved. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I can tell her, like, that's cool. So I think it was just really important that, like, I found someone that I could talk to where I wasn't so scared to talk to. I felt a little bit safer with her. Like I could trust her. I wasn't going to be judged because I was really scared about being judged. Like, I could have had my kids taken away. Like there was lots I could lose. And so I talked to her and I just said, I think I'm like, I told her I got out of an abusive relationship. And then I just said, I'm just drinking too much. And I didn't tell her the full story. I kind of told her that I was like drinking, a lot and every day. And when she said, oh, like she just kind of like took the news and she didn't react. And she says, okay, well, let's work on this together. And that is not what I expected to hear from a doctor. I kind of was expecting like the finger, like, you've got kids and you shouldn't be drinking like that every day. And like, I'm just thinking like, I don't know how to survive. I didn't know what to do. And I didn't, anyways. So she put me on this kind of like secret plan where she said, why don't we just get to like this many drinks a day and that many drinks a day? And I said, okay. And so like 2 weeks would go by and I would do a check-in. And so basically I lied for a while. And I tried to get those numbers down. Like I tried to do 2 less drinks a day and I couldn't, but I didn't want to disappoint because I wanted to feel like I wanted to be accepted and I wanted to feel like I was doing it. I was obviously too scared to be truthful. So the lie kept going and, and then, now the lie just was too big because, for example, I think I might have been around 24 drinks a day, something like that. And so she's now thinking I've got down to like half that. And I'm actually still at the exact same number that we started on together on this, trying to slow the drinking down. And anyways, I'm only at half that. So I think now at that point, like it'd been a few months, I think just the pressure of the lie just eventually made me explode because, I was still so alone. I felt so alone still in that alcoholism. And then that lie just became so consuming. And I just remember one day, like, just tell the truth. And I just was like, I haven't done any of it. And I'm still drinking the same amount. And I feel like such a loser and a failure. And I just confessed to what that truth was then. And and it all came out. And she still didn't judge me. She just said, hey, like, it's okay. It's like a really hard thing to stop drinking and doing what you're doing. And she's like, we're going to come up with another plan. Like, there's something else we can do. And, it felt really good to let that out to her and to be, just back onto truth telling, and so now we're back on the same page. And she says, it's going to seem like you're going to need a bit more. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, well, maybe we need to like get you to a place where you can do this, in sort of a clinical setting or like a detox or a treatment center. And I'm like, oh, I didn't really know too much about treatment centers then. But she said, like, why don't you look into some stuff around here, and then when I talk to you next, we'll go from there. And so I found one, and I started calling, and then I would hang up, and I called there a few times, and I guess I was just scared to admit I had a problem. I was just asked questions about drinking and what's it like to not drink, and I wouldn't like say my name or talk too much. I would just call this guy and I would ask questions about his treatment center, and then I'd hang up the phone. And that's just so funny. But I remember one time he just said to me, like, because I was worried about the money, and he just said, well, what's your life worth? Like, what's your life worth? Is it worth more than $14,000? And I thought, well, yeah, my life is worth way more than $14,000, but it's true. So it's like, I was already drinking $1,400 to maybe $2,000 a month in alcohol. Like, I could probably pay off treatment in a year just from being sober. Like, it's the same amount of money. And there was some financial plans and stuff that I could do, but I ended up it ended up getting gifted to me. So that's not always the case for everybody, but in my case, somehow that really worked out. And anyway, so I find this treatment center, and then the next thing was I didn't know what to do because I was a single mom, and my kids were so little, like I just was so scared to leave them. Like, they were 1.5 and 2.5. And I also had just recently gotten the diagnosis that my oldest son was autistic. So I had that was really overwhelming too, because I was just embarking on getting him funded and into everything. And it was hard. I'd always known that there was something different about him, but, so that was happening also just before treatment. And anyways, but I what I did is I arranged my own, say, intervention, because like now that my doctor and me were working on me going to treatment, and then I was talking to the treatment center and making my phone calls, and then, kind of calling about a bed and stuff. And so now it's almost like I'm coming to terms like that. This is where I got to go. This is what I got to do. And, but now what do I do about my kids? So I kind of organized this intervention with all my closest people at the time. And I just confessed to my parents and my brother, and maybe one of my sisters was there, and a few other close friends, and just told everybody everything that was happening to me, like everything that had happened in my marriage and why we broke up, and everything that's been happening over winter, and just how bad the boozing was. I just was trading in myself for that alcohol. And and then when the time treatment came, I drank all the way right till treatment, like super drinking a lot. Like, and even when I was working with my doctor to slow down my drinking before the idea of rehab, it's almost like because I was trying to drink less, I drank more. Like, and that was really just scary and embarrassing as well. So I go to treatment, and the morning of, I guess I was trying to get in the last few drinks forever. And I just remember looking at the alcohol bottle and missing it, and like looking at it like my my best friend, and like, I'm never going to be able to drink you again. But then I remember looking at it like, well, it doesn't do anything anyway. Like, my drinking was so bad that drinking didn't get me drunk. It wasn't making me feel better. So it was just like I was stuck having to drink without any benefits at all. And I knew it was destroying my life at that point. So, but I was still doing it. Like, I was still in the habit of like really drinking. And even though it just felt like so pointless, and I was downstairs, it was before treatment that day, like getting ready to go. And I went downstairs to go have a bath. And I was just like, so it's kind of hard to say, but I was in the bathtub, and I was so tired and hungover and drunk, and I just like let my face go down. And then I just remember laying in my bath, not caring if I woke up, if I sunk, if I died. I was like, there's nothing in the world I care about anymore. Like, I just don't care. And I just kept watching like the water kind of just creep up to my like go over my mouth. And I just remember like, I don't care at all. I can't. And I just like, the water kept going. And like, I just remember like, and then that was just like quiet. And I guess my face was down. And then my girlfriend comes down because she's packing me up to go to rehab. And she's like, Jazz, like pulled me out of the water. But, you know, it's just like that close to dying. Like I was that close. And if I would have stayed another week at home in that kind of state, there's no way my boys would have a mother today. Like there's just no way my parents would have a daughter anymore. Like, and, you know, it's just like alcoholism is, you know, I'm really glad that I got to be an alcoholic just to experience like how terrible that life is. You know, like I got so much experience from it. And it's just such a life of suffering. Like I never got anything I wanted out of that life. It was so destructive. It destroyed everything. Anything good I ever made got destroyed. So it's exhausting to have to always rebuild all the time. Yeah, that was a really, you know, so anyways, my girlfriend pulls me out of the water, says, you know, I guess my face was like all the way down. So I'm glad she found me because I'm so grateful for my life today. But she pulls me out and gets me all ready to go. And I'm just like, I am just panicked to not drink again. And so I'm crying and I felt like I didn't have enough booze. I'd already had 4 drinks that morning, but it just didn't feel like enough. Anyways, there was no way for me to get any more before rehab, so I had to be there by a certain time. And I think we were becoming late. But I just remember I was bawling my eyes out. I was really scared to leave my kids. And they were crying probably because they couldn't understand why I was crying so much and why I was leaving. Like it was a really weird situation. Like I was being hauled away. And anyways, my girlfriend drives me there and I am so scared and sweaty. I'm just crying the whole way. Like, and it's not even that far. I think it was like a 15-minute drive. And I get there and I get to the front doorstep and I just start puking everywhere because I was so scared. Like I've never been that scared in my life to puke, but you see it in movies and I was just like in the car, like the fear was so strong about not drinking ever again and not drinking. And what am I going to do tomorrow? And how's it going to feel? Like I was so scared of that it was going to be so much worse and that it was going to hurt so bad. And so I was really scared of that. And when I got there, it just, I was like, I got to get out of the car. Like I'm going to puke. And I got out of the car and just like hurled. So anyways, she goes in the house into the treatment center to get the ladies and say, she's here, but she's puking in the bushes. So I'm like, they send a few people out to come and get me and bring me down to the office. And so I didn't think I could be in more worse shape. And then I was in more worse shape. And now I smell like puke and sweat and tears. And they just started, arms around me like, it's okay, you're here. Like, you're doing a really good thing. You're doing a really good thing for your boys. I don't know. They just started like loving me. I didn't love myself. I didn't love my life. I didn't love anything about me anymore. Like I had completely given up. That was me giving up and in total defeat. And so of course that's, that was my most, I was brought to my knees and And I'm really grateful that that happened, and that's where sobriety started. And I was in that room, and they said, go on upstairs and, get settled in. And yeah, it was just so rough and scary. And I was really suffering, and it was the best thing to happen to me in my life, because I am sober today, and I love being sober. I love that I can go out and not need alcohol, and among other things. So anyways, those are the ugly days that before treatment that got me into treatment. And that was the very deep slide that landed me there. So thank you.